It's really sad, man. Every time I think the WNBA can't look worse, they find a way to do it. So now we got Tiffany Hayes. She's on Threads responding to fans who are talking crazy about Caitlin Clark. And it's just like, Tiffany Hayes, all right, you are a good basketball player. You had every opportunity to show that you was better than Caitlin Clark. And in all reality, you couldn't do it. All right? You was doing you. But when Clark landed that bomb from Baghdad on you, you quickly got in your feelings, which made no sense because you was crying the whole game.
Tiffany Hayes made one massive mistake against Caitlin Clark. She thought getting physical, talking trash, and clapping in Clark's face would throw her off. But instead, she woke up the most dangerous version of Caitlin Clark we have seen all season. Because after that moment, Clark did not just play better. She started hunting Golden State. And the scary part is, the more emotional the game became, the more locked in Caitlin Clark looked.
Now, you would think, with everything that has happened online with Tiffany Hayes and the hot mic situation, she would have just left the entire thing alone. Well, I'm here to tell you, she opted not to do that. Now she's going online, going back and forth with Caitlin Clark fans, and she's subliminally still going on with a verbal assault against Caitlin Clark and her fan base. Bro, this whole thing is getting bad. And as of right now, to me, from the outside looking in, the WNBA has to do something. Now, I know everybody got like the freedom of speech and all of that, but when it starts turning into hate speech, that's where we got to draw the line. Because as of right now, it is looking like Caitlin Clark is a target simply because she's having a spectacular start of the season. All of this hate is starting because Caitlin Clark is whooping ass and taking names.
The Golden State Valkyries came into this matchup with a clear plan. Pressure Clark, bump her, trap her, make her uncomfortable before she gets into rhythm. That has become the league's favorite strategy against Caitlin Clark. Teams know if they let her walk into her offense, the game can change in seconds. One deep three, one full court pass, one transition push, one crowd explosion. Suddenly, the entire building belongs to her. So Golden State tried to stop that before it started, but this game proved something the rest of the WNBA should probably be worried about. When Caitlin Clark gets emotional, it does not always break her rhythm. Sometimes it sharpens it. And Tiffany Hayes found that out the hard way.
Yesterday we got the insane game. We got an insane game right here between Caitlin Clark versus Tiffany Hayes. And this is like good old fashioned. This is good old fashioned competitive basketball hatred. This is pure ball. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes, we have Caitlin Clark haters posting think pieces on Threads, getting hundreds of likes saying that teams should sign dev players whose only purpose is to go out and injure Caitlin Clark. But like, you know that's going to happen. These Threads is literally the most unhinged, like WNBA Threads is the most unhinged place in the world. It is the most unhinged place in the world. And I came from the NBA 2K community. I didn't think it was going to get worse than 2K. 2K is the most toxic gaming. I didn't realize it was going to get so much worse with this stuff. But Tip Hayes versus Caitlin Clark was a movie. First of all,
early in the game, Hayes came out aggressive. She attacked the rim, she hit tough shots. She played with confidence. And after one bucket, she started clapping right in Caitlin Clark's face. The cameras caught it, the crowd felt it, the benches noticed it. And in that moment, this stopped feeling like a normal regular season game.
In the defense of Caitlin did get away with more push-offs today than she normally does, but as a referee, if you're going to let her get mauled, you have to allow the push-off. That's what I was saying at the start of the year when Caitlin was getting called for the offensive fouls and push-offs. I'm like, if the referees are going to call people for hand-checking you at the halfway line, then obviously you can't push off. And I think Caitlin doesn't even get separation of the push-offs. It's actually frustrating. It really, really frustrates me in general when it comes down to Caitlin with the push-offs, because I'm like, she actually doesn't get anything from the push-offs. She does it out of habit. That is the most frustrating thing about it, is that like she does it out of habit. But like Caitlin Clark obviously getting into it immediately through this whole game. Like they were already getting into it a little bit. Tip Hayes was cooking Caitlin. This was a like old-fashioned old-fashioned two players going at each other, pure basketball shit talk. Like, this is what you want to see. So Tip Hayes is trying to guard Caitlin. Boom, Caitlin, easy. I don't know what she's calling for. Caitlin got hacked before that, by the way. There's no contact there at all. But like, immediately, Caitlin Clark from the logo here. Tip Hayes, I think, had scored in the previous possession. Caitlin Clark goes into that, and you see Tip Hayes during this. Look, watch Tip Hayes. She immediately makes contact with her. That could have been, like, I don't think it should have been. She had already landed, but like, I'm sorry, the bump there, that could have been a rebounding foul. That could have, and in the WNBA, that's an and one. In Europe, that's not an and one.
You could see Clark's face change. She was not smiling. She was not backing down. She looked angry, locked in, dangerous. And that is when the entire energy of the game shifted, because Tiffany Hayes was not just challenging Clark physically, she was challenging her emotionally. And that matters. Because ever since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, players have tried to test her. They have bumped her. They have trapped her. They have picked her up full court. They have tried to speed her up, frustrate her, and prove she is not as special as the attention says she is. But this time, Clark did not shrink. She answered. And she answered in the coldest way possible.
We got to give credit where credit's due to Caitlin Clark, because this is where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a fucking demon. This is the player that we wanted to see. Washington woke it up. But Caitlin, you like that. Get out of my face. Come on, get it. And Mai Shines Allen immediately steps in to stop anything from happening. Like, this is a big thing. Like, Caitlin absolutely cooking Tip Hayes. That being said, to act like Tip Hayes didn't cook Caitlin with that step back earlier on in the game. Like, Tip Hayes absolutely cooked Caitlin. Absolutely cooked Caitlin here. And like, I gotta say, like, we're not gonna pretend that Tip Hayes didn't get hers. Caitlin won the game in the end, but Tip Hayes absolutely got hers.
Clark crossed half court. Hayes was right there. The defense was waiting. And without hesitation, Clark pulled up from ridiculous range. Splash, a logo 3. Right in the middle of the moment. But the shot was only half the story. Because after it dropped, Clark stepped toward Hayes. She stared her down, and she started talking back.
Now, unfortunately, Tiffany Hayes was just a victim. Now, we know that Caitlin Clark likes to talk smack and do her thing, but what athlete don't talk smack when they hot, on fire, and then you keep poking a bear? Like, why keep poking a bear? Now, mind you, they got to play the Valkyries again this upcoming Wednesday. Now, Caitlin Clark is at the Indy 500. Look like she's not tripping off none of this stuff involving Tiffany Hayes. She has not spoke about it. She has not tweeted about it. She is minding her own business, taking pictures with babies, out there being the Grand Marshal, well, the best Grand Marshal ever. Thousands of people walking up to get her autograph. But instead, we got this hate speech coming out of the pipeline in regards to Tiffany Hayes. Something has to be done, bruh. Something has to be done.
That was not just a 3. That was Caitlin Clark telling Tiffany Hayes the game had changed. Hayes wanted a reaction. Clark gave her a highlight, and from that point on, everything started to turn. Golden State looked rattled. The shots that were falling early stopped looking easy. Drives to the rim became rushed. Layups started missing. Possessions got messy. And while the Valkyries were trying to regain control, Clark looked more comfortable with every minute. That is the part that should scare the rest of the league.
Today, Tiffany Hayes, she started a fight that she wasn't ready to engage in. As soon as Caitlin Clark stared her down after hitting a logo 3 in her face, said, hey, it's me and you, girl. What you got? From that moment on, Tiffany Hayes collapsed. ISO ball, she would get, they would switch CC onto her. She would try to take her to the rack. Tiffany Hayes throwing up garbage at the rim. Layups off the backboard, off the stanchion, missing the whole entire, missing it completely. Tiffany Hayes, she picked a fight with Cece. She wasn't ready to get into it. And I'm saying she picked a fight because she started it. Caitlin Clark finished it.
Because this was not just Caitlin Clark hitting deep threes. This was the full Caitlin Clark package. Pull-up bombs, quick reads, thread the needle passes, transition pressure, mid-range shots, physical defense, and even hard screens. She finished with 22 points and 9 assists, barely missing another double-double while controlling the pace of the game. But the numbers do not fully explain what happened. Because this was about control. Clark controlled the tempo. She controlled the emotion. She controlled where the defense had to stand. And she controlled the crowd. Every time Golden State tried to make the game uncomfortable, Clark turned that discomfort into fuel. That is why this performance felt different. For months, critics have said the blueprint against Caitlin Clark is physical basketball. Make her work, make her angry, make her complain, make her rush. But against Golden State, that plan backfired. The more physical the game became, the more aggressive Clark became. The more Hayes talked, the more Clark responded. The more the Valkyries tried to trap her, the more she punished them with passes. And the moment they gave her space, she launched from a different area code. That is not easy to guard, because with Clark, defenders are stuck in a nightmare. If they sag off, she shoots. If they press up, she drives. If they trap, she passes. If they get physical, she gets fired up. And once she gets fired up, the game can completely flip.
Then at the end of the game, oh, I'm gonna cry about it. I'm gonna cry to the referees. They don't call anything. The Golden State Valkyrie tried their best to rough up Caitlin Clark yesterday. Natalie Nakaze, ooh, I figured Caitlin Clark out. She tried her best to rough her up. But something that you didn't know last year, Natalie, Cece was injured. So all of this, ooh, I have her figured out, that you were convincing yourself of. Perhaps not, Natalie. Perhaps not.
That is exactly what happened here. Golden State thought they were frustrating Caitlin Clark. They were actually loading the gun. And once Clark caught fire, the Fever looked like a totally different team. Aaliyah Boston dominated inside. She gave Indiana a real presence in the paint, attacking the glass and punishing Golden State around the rim. Kelsey Mitchell added scoring pressure. Sophie Cunningham brought energy and toughness. And the Fever started playing with a level of confidence that matched Clark's intensity. But make no mistake, this game belonged to Caitlin Clark. Because Boston could punish them inside because Clark was terrifying them outside. That is the hidden power of Caitlin Clark.
Now here we go on the other side. We got Tiffany Hayes taking it to the rack here. Tiffany Hayes taking it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Takes it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Jaws at her right after. Jaws at her right after. At this point, do you know what Caitlin Clark said? And I'm going to bring back our good old friend, someone who we miss dearly. Do you know what Caitlin Clark said here?
Was, hey coach, they woke a monster.
They woke a fucking monster. You're damn right, Christy. You are damn right. What did she say here?
You know, I just tried to keep her spirits. I mean, the thing she said was, hey coach, they woke a monster.
They woke a monster. Yeah, they woke the monster. they woke demon time Caitlin Clark. They woke up. Oh, fuck all this. Caitlin Clark. They woke up. Oh, you're gonna clap in my face? Caitlin Clark. They woke up the wrong side. You want to keep her calm. You know, you want to keep her calm. You want to keep her passive. You don't want to get her too fired up. You don't want to get her too charged up, because that's when the Mamba part of her comes out. That's when the I'm going to slit your neck part of Caitlin Clark on the basketball court, of course. I'm going to kill you on the court. Caitlin Clark comes out. I'm going to crush everything you love on the court. Caitlin Clark. That's when it comes out.
She does not just score points, she changes the geometry of the floor. Defenders pick her up near half court, help defenders lean toward her. Bigs have to step higher than they want to. Passing lanes open, teammates get cleaner looks, and every possession feels like it could turn into a highlight. That is why one logo 3 can feel bigger than 3 points. It changes the defense, it changes the crowd, it changes the confidence of both teams. And in this game, it changed Tiffany Hayes. Because after the trash talk escalated, Hayes never looked like she had the same rhythm again. That is what fans noticed immediately. She started the game with confidence. But once Clark fired back, the whole situation flipped. And after the game, the drama did not stop. When Hayes spoke post-game, fans felt she tried to downplay what happened. Instead of simply admitting Clark took over, the message was more about Golden State needing to fix the little things. But that is why the reaction online exploded. Because fans were not buying it. This did not feel like a few little things. This felt like Caitlin Clark taking the game away from them. You do not accidentally stop a player from pulling up near the logo. You do not accidentally stop a player who is throwing full court lasers, bending the defense, and dragging defenders away from the basket. At some point, you have to admit what everyone is watching.
Greatness is greatness.
And this may have been one of those games where Caitlin Clark reminded the league that she is not just trying to survive the WNBA anymore. She is starting to control it. That is the bigger story. Last season, teams tested Clark to see if she could handle the physicality. Now, when they test her, she responds with deeper shots, louder moments, and more confidence. That is a dangerous evolution. Because if Caitlin Clark combines elite shooting, elite passing, and this kind of killer mentality, the Fever become a completely different problem. She is not just a scorer. She is not just a passer. She is not just a draw. She is the player who changes the emotional temperature of a game. And that is why the Tiffany Hayes moment mattered so much. It gave Clark a target. It gave the crowd a reason to explode. And it gave the Fever the edge they needed. Some players get quieter when the game gets heated. Caitlin Clark got louder. Some players avoid the moment when defenders start talking. Clark walked straight into it. Some players try to calm everything down. Clark turned the chaos into a weapon. And that is why this moment is going to keep getting replayed. The logo 3. The stare down, the jawing, the physicality, the crowd reaction, the post-game debate. It all pointed to the same thing. Caitlin Clark is no longer just the player everyone is watching. She is becoming the player opponents are afraid of waking up. And that is why Tiffany Hayes may have made the biggest mistake of the night. She tried to get under Caitlin Clark's skin, but all she really did was unlock her. Because Clark did not just win the moment, she owned it. She made the shot, she talked back, she controlled the pace, and she reminded everyone that if you turn a Caitlin Clark game into a personal battle, you better be ready for what comes next. Tiffany Hayes did not expose Caitlin Clark. She exposed what happens when you make Caitlin Clark angry. So now the question is simple. Did Tiffany Hayes make a huge mistake by waking up Caitlin Clark, or is this just the beginning of Clark taking over the entire WNBA? Let me know in the comments. And if you're still watching, drop Clark woke up in the comments.